Today we're going to talk about managing relationships. I have found that it's useful to have relationships kind of in three different categories. Category one is that you're fighting for the same thing. Category two is that you're fighting against the same thing. Category three is that regardless of what you're fighting for or fighting against, you choose to walk together. Now I'm going to give some examples and talk a little bit about that. So it is not uncommon for people to move from category one to category two and kind of bounce back and forth as you go through life. You might see some overlap there, but it's unlikely that you're going to see some of those people roll into category three, just because category three is your inner circle. Those are people that you grew up with. That's your family. Those are people that no matter what, your ride or die, so to speak, you're gonna be with your entire life. So I'm gonna break down these three different categories. So category one, fighting for the same thing. So growing up in very religious circles, you find a lot of this. And also you'll find this some in our political environment too, because you're fighting for the same thing, you have the same beliefs, and it just tends to rally people together. You can also find this in business when you have people that have the same goals. Sometimes they're fighting against another organization, or they're fighting for another organization, or they're just trying to manifest something specific in the world within a service or a business. Category two is that you're fighting against the same thing. Now, I referenced this a minute ago in business, and you'll see some overlap where people are fighting for certain things, and you'll find that type of relationship in business. But most of the time in business, you're fighting for the same thing, you're building something, you're being more positive and offering services. Now, in the personal space, it's a little different. You'll find that you partner with people to stand up against injustice or whatever it may be. But what you'll also find is a lot of times those relationships move from category one down to category two. The type of person that just wants to be in relationship to destroy something or tear down something, those are going to tend to be, those people are just going to be less positive and probably not the type of people you're going to want to hang out with a lot. What I've noticed is that most negative things happen in the void of positive influences. Category three are people that you choose to walk with regardless of what you're fighting for or against. Now, these types of relationships are rare. It's going to be a smaller inner circle, as I was saying earlier. My kids, my wife, they are in this category. My brother's in this category, and a handful of other people, but there's just not a lot of people. And this group of people is not going to change a lot in my experience. It's going to kind of stay pretty stable. It's just a fantastic group of people. There is a good friend of mine in North Florida who lives on a farm. Honestly, we're very different. He works for a municipality and I run a business, but he has kids, and we love to get our families together. When we get together, we have a bourbon and we just talk about life and we have a good time. And regardless of what I'm doing in business or what he's doing in business or what he's doing on his farm, we choose to walk together because we love one another and we're cheering one another on. And those are great relationships to have in your life. And I know that no matter what, he's going to be there for me. Maintaining childhood relationships versus new relationships. Not all relationships are worth maintaining. What I have found is that as I grow and develop, the people around me change. And so I've had relationships where we were walking together and we kind of went different directions, or I started pursuing something different, which is going a different direction. And what I found is that we didn't walk together as closely. Now, does it mean that I don't want anything to do with them, or I'm not going to talk to them if I see them? Absolutely. We're still friendly, but we just don't maintain the closeness that we once had. Now, what I've also noticed is that in business, as you're building something and growing together, there's different types of things that you're looking for. And so there's different seasons for different relationships. Now, with childhood friends, I have a great example. I've recently had an interaction with someone that came back into my life, and it was great catching up and we had a great time. But what I also realized is that we're probably not going to have a lot to talk about after that first or second time we get together, because we're just living two completely different lives, which is totally fine as well. He's pursuing the things he wants, I'm pursuing the things that I want, and that relationship is not going to be what it was once upon a time. I do not carry any guilt or resentment about these relationships coming and going in and out of my life. I understand that it's a natural flow for relationships. That's why I think it's important to recognize what category your relationships are in so you know how to properly manage and have the right expectations. Here are some additional guidelines that have helped me manage my relationships. Be transparent with what you want. If you're seeking out the relationship to learn something, let them be a mentor. They don't have to be a friend. If you want a friend, act like a friend. Meaningful relationships come with loyalty and sacrifice. The amount of sacrifice often determines the value for the thing. Adversity is not a sign that you're incompatible, it's the test of loyalty. Being transparent and honest will help you maintain longer lasting relationships. And the last one, be willing to fight in public and question in private. Be loyal to the people that are around you, and that will help create healthier relationships. I hope you enjoyed this video today.